Hello friends, today we are diving into a case study based data analytics video, and the case study is on procurement of a cyber security project that is required for arcade didactics, and the fair market value of the project is rupees 500 crore. It means the normal rate as per assessment is rupees 500 crore, but for procurement bids has been invited and 10 IT vendors has sent their bid for the cyber security contract, and the bid amount starts from 350 crores to 950 crores, and this data of the bidders has been visualized in the graph. So from the data given, we shall analyze how to spot the winner and the risk using data visualization. So let's start. So this is the line graph in which the bid amount of the 10 vendors has been visualized. So the x-axis is bid value in crore, and the y-axis is vendor number 1, 2, 3 to vendor number 10. So looking at our line graph, we see that vendor 1 has given his bid amount is rupees 350 crore. Vendor 2 to 9 amount is 480 to 590 crore. लगभग सेम है, but vendor 10 has increased to 950 crore. So we see a tight cluster of 8 vendors from vendor 2 to vendor 9, but there are two major anomalies. Vendor 1 is bidding extremely low, that is 350 crore, and vendor 10 has spiked significantly, that is 950 crore. So let's test our data analytics skills with 10 MCQs based on this data sheet. Hello friends, this is a case study based MCQs on data analytics. As you know, the exam pattern has changed to case study based MCQs. I shall bring more such videos. To avail the benefit of this video immediately, please activate your notification button. So let's start. Which vendor ID represents the lowest bidder, and what is the primary risk associated with this data? Vendor 10, risk of overcharging. Vendor 1, risk of underscoping or project failure. Vendor 5, risk of being too average, or vendor 1 also, risk of being most qualified. So the answer is vendor 1 is the lowest bidder, and the risk is risk of underscoping or project failure. So in data analytics, a price that is significantly lower than the cluster here is vendor 2 to vendor 9, around rate is 480 to 590 crore, but vendor R is rupees 350 crore. So it is an outlier. Though it is a lowest price, the sharp distance from the rupees 500 crore, that is our fair market value, suggests that the vendor might have missed technical requirements. Though it is the cheapest, but a bit far below the market cluster suggests that he may have been underscoped the project requirements, posing a high risk of project. So उनका जो rate है, though it is very less, there is possibility that the bidder might have rescoped or underscoped the requirements, and there is very possibility that उसका जो project failure हो जाएगा. So answer is B, vendor 1, risk of underscoping or project failure. If you were to apply a first derivative analysis to the line between vendor 9 and vendor 10, what would the result show? A value near zero, flat line, a negative value, decreasing price, a high positive value, steep price increase, a constant value. So vendor 9 का जो रेट है it is 590 crore and vendor 10 का जो रेट है it is 950 crore. So first derivative analysis क्या बताता है? Answer is a high positive value means steep price increase. So actually first derivative measures करता है the rate of change. Here the price increases from 590 crore to 950 crore and the slope here it is very steep. And if we calculate the first derivative between vendor 9 and vendor 10, हमको मिलेगा कि this is the high positive value. And a high positive derivative in procurement indicates a price anomaly compared to the previous bidders. So there is a steep increase from vendor 9 to vendor 10. If we converted this line graph into a box plot, where would vendor 10 be placed? So जो लाइन ग्राफ को हम बॉक्स प्लॉट में कन्वर्ट कर देंगे तो vendor 10 कहाँ पे रहेगा? Inside the box, on the median line, beyond the upper whisker, or at the lower quartile? Answer is beyond the upper whisker. So block spot क्या करता है? It uses whiskers to show the boundary of normal data. So whisker का अंदर normal data normally include होता है. Since वो 950 crore वाला जो डाटा है vendor 9 का, it is 1.5 times than the inner quartile. So जो normal range है उनका 1.5 times ज़्यादा है. So range away from the rest of the bits, it is mathematically classified as an outlier and plotted as an individual dot outside the whiskers. So जो outlier है वो normally whiskers का अंतर नहीं रहता है, वो inner quartile से बाहर चला आता है. So this vendor 10 would be beyond the upper whisker, and in analytics any point more than 1.5 times the inner quartile range is treated as an outlier and plotted individually. So जो vendor 10 का जो value है वो inner quartile area में नहीं रहेगा, it will stay beyond the upper whisker because उसका rate इतना ज़्यादा है कि it is an outlier. Friends, इस वीडियो की लेफ्ट बॉटम पार्ट में आपको लिंक मिलेगा और इस लिंक में आप क्लिक करके बहुत सारी खरीदारी जैसे कि शूज हो सकता है, मोबाइल हो सकता है, ड्रेस हो सकता है, इवन ग्रोसरीज. एंड इफ यू विल परचेस, this will be no extra cost to you, but it will be a great support to the channel. Which tool would be best visualize the frequency of bids within specific range? That is, how many bids fell between 500 crore to 550 crore. Line graph, histogram, derivative plotter, or box plotter? Answer is, so histogram would be the best tool to visualize the frequency of bids within the specific price ranges. So difference between histogram and line graph. While a line graph shows individual prices, a histogram groups the data into bins. So histogram are the tools for showing frequency distribution rather than individual data points. So by using this histogram, IT manager shall see the density of bids, helping to identify the most common price range offered by the bidders or from the market. The consensus range, that is the middle bidders, is best represented by which part of a box plotter? The whiskers, the outlier dots, the inner quartile range, the box, or the x-axis labels? Answer is the inner quartile range or the box. So the inner quartile range or the box depend करता है the middle 50% of the data को. So in this procurement, a narrow box indicates that the majority of vendors have a similar understanding of the technical labor and hardware cost involved. So there are only two outliers, vendor A or vendor 1 or vendor 10, but 2 and 9 are within the cluster. So this is the consensus range. If a histogram of this bit shows a tail stretching towards the right side of the graph, the distribution is called what? Symmetrical, left skewed, right skewed, or bimodal? Answer is, so if a histogram of this bits shows a tail stretching towards the right side of the graph, the distribution is called right skewed. So in this graph, there is a rupees 950 crore bid that is from vendor 10, and uska jo bid hai, it is very high. So this amount pulls the average to the right away from the peak frequency. So the mean is pulled higher than the median. This creates a distribution with a tail on the right, signaling that a few high-priced outliers are skewing the average cost upwards. Friends, to watch all the videos of the channel, please join as a member. और आप जब मेंबर में ज्वाइन करेंगे, आपको बहुत सारा फैसिलिटी मिलेगा, इंक्लूडिंग watching all the videos of the channel. To identify the lower bidder, price point instantly on a line plotter. So what the analyst looks for? The global maximum, the global minimum, the inflection point, or the y-intercept? Answer is, to identify the lower bidder, the analysts look for the global minimum. So the global minimum is the lowest point on the graph. In our case study, जो vendor 1 है उनका रेट है ₹350 crore. So analytics सॉफ्टवेयर में जो हो यूज होता है टू ऑटो फ्लैग द मोस्ट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव बिड फॉर इनिशियल रिव्यू. प्लीज कीप इन माइंड इट इज ओनली फॉर इनिशियल रिव्यू व्हिच इज द लोएस्ट. उसके बाद डिटेल रिव्यू होगा, लेकिन फॉर इनिशियल रिव्यू जो कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है दिस इज ₹350 crore. What happens to the median line in a box plot if we remove the outlier, that is vendor 10? It stays exactly the same, it moves significantly higher, it moves slightly lower or remains stable, or it disappears. Answer is, so if we remove the outlier, that is vendor 10, the median line in a box plot will move slightly lower or remain stable. Why? Because the median is a robust figure एंड आउटलायर का ऊपर उनका ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता है. सो जब आउटलायर रिमूव हो जाएगा मीडियन में इतना चेंज नहीं होगा. लेकिन जब वो मीन होगा, मीन मतलब एवरेज, जब कोई आउटलायर हाई वैल्यू या लो वैल्यू निकल जाएगा तो एवरेज विल सडनली चेंज, में इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज. लेकिन मीडियन क्या है, उसका ऊपर जो आउटलायर है ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता है. सो इट विल जस्ट शिफ्ट टू द नेक्स्ट मिडिल वैल्यू. So this is why median is used in IT analytics, and it is not easily distorted by one or two crazy prices, may be higher or may be more lower. So उनका ऊपर दो एक दो अमाउंट जब आएगा ज़्यादा या कम, उसका ऊपर मीडियन का ऊपर कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं पड़ेगा। सो मीडियन विल नॉट बी इम्पैक्टेड बाय एनी आउटलायर, मे बी वेरी हाई और मे बी वेरी लेस, उसका ऊपर ओनली स्लाइट इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। सो इट मूव्स स्लाइटली लोअर और may also remain stable. Second derivative of the bid trend line is zero. What does it imply about the prices between bidders? Prices are increasing at an accelerating rate. Prices are changing at a constant rate. There is no difference between bids. The data is exponential. Answer is if the second derivative of the bid trend line is zero, it implies that the prices are changing at a constant rate. So if the second derivative is zero, it means the price increases are linear. There is no acceleration or curve in the bidding trends. मतलब normally there is no maximum change. It is straight diagonal line. This suggests that each subsequent vendor is increasing their price by a fixed predictable amount, maybe rupees 10 crore or more than the previous one. So जब डेरिवेटिव सेकंड डेरिवेटिव जीरो हो जाएगा, मतलब देयर इज नो मैक्सिमम चेंज, मिनिमम चेंज and in a fixed predictable amount. Why is a box plotter preferred over a standard bar chart for evaluating 100 plus IT tenders? It shows every individual price. It summarizes distribution, spread and outliers in one visual. It uses more colors. It is easier to draw by hand. So क्वेश्चन है कि जब कभी किसी टेंडर में 100 प्लस IT बिडर्स आ जाएंगे, बॉक्स प्लॉटर को हम क्यों प्रिफर करेंगे इन कंपैरिजन टू लाइन और बार ग्राफ्स? Box plotter summarizes distribution, spread and outliers in one visual. So जब 100 प्लस बीड आ जाएगा, जब हम बार चार्ट या लाइन चार्ट यूज करेंगे, इट विल बी अनरीडेबल. वो एक मेस हो जाएगा, इतना ज्यादा लाइन हो जाएगा, इतना ज्यादा बार हो जाएगा, इट विल बी मेस. Nobody can analyze. But a box plot condenses those 100 points into key statistics. It also summarizes distributions and outliers in one clean visual, and it allows the IT analysis to see the market reality at a single glance. So जब 100 प्लस टेंडर हो जाएगा, मतलब ज्यादा डाटा हो जाएगा, बॉक्स प्लॉटर इज प्रिफर्ड देन अदर ग्राफ्स और डाटा शीट्स. Thank you. If you found the video beneficial, please don't forget to give a like to this video. फिर मिलता है नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. बाय बाय.